Wanting to make this film, it wasn't to be famous. I don't like doing these type of things. It's not who I am, it's not what I do. But I want people to know that this doesn't end because it's 2 years on. This doesn't end because it's not in the newspapers every day. I want this to be some kind of insight as to what my life is like. I was a young man going to work, and then I had my life change in ways that I could never imagine. If somebody would have said to me 3 years ago, look, you're going to lose both your legs, you're going to lose your eye, you're going to have heart attacks, you'll be medicated for the rest of your life, I'd be like, mate, my life's over. But the fact that somebody tries to kill you, that's a big incentive to live your life and just say that you don't win. You can exist or you can live. I've chose to live my life.
Danny Biddle was the most seriously injured survivor of the 7th of July bombings. He was less than a metre away from Mohammed Sadiq Khan when he detonated his bomb on the Edgware Road tube. This is Danny's own account of his ordeal, his remarkable survival, and of the long road to recovery. Today, Danny lives in a specially converted bungalow with his wife Lisa.
Dan, do you want pickle?
Yeah, please. We're just a normal young married couple that were thrown in the middle of something that was so horrendous it was unbelievable, but we just want a normal life. We want to start a family, we want to be happy and healthy and do everything that every other normal married couple do.
I don't look at him and think, oh, victim. I look at him and think, Dan, I'm going to take the pee out of him because that's how we've always been and why change now?
Danny has surpassed all expectations with his physical recovery, but dealing with mental trauma is an ongoing battle.
There isn't a day that goes by where I don't think about it, or I don't have a memory or a flashback about it in a quiet moment at home or on the drive to work. There's always something there, that a smell, a sound, a movement that will remind me of that day. That morning, I woke up my usual time, but I had a banging migraine. So I sort of woke Lisa up and said, I'm not feeling so good, I don't think I'm going to go in. So I laid back down, went back to sleep, and I woke up about half hour later. And I felt a little bit better, so I decided that I'd get up and go to work.
Are you feeling better now?
So by the time I'd got up, showered, got my work gear on, got my laptop bag, got my briefcase, got my phone and everything together and actually walked out the door, I was about 45 minutes to an hour later than I should have been.
Right, I'll see you tonight.
OK then, I'll see you later. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
I was very active, very fit. I loved playing football, going fishing, playing squash. Height-wise, I was about 6'4". I was pushing 19 stone, so I used to go to the gym a lot. Jumped on a bus, and there was a burst water main that kept me sitting on the bus for about another 40 minutes. I think I got to the station about 7:10. And then, just sod's law, the ticket machine was out of order, so I had to queue up to buy the ticket. If I'd have got up on time, would that main have been burst? Would that ticket machine have been working? It's one of the things that I look back and if only I'd done this, if only I'd done that, and if only is probably the two harshest words we have in our language. So when we actually reached Liverpool Street, run down to the platform with the Circle Line, as I got to the platform, a train had just pulled in and it was packed with people. And I knew I was late anyway, so I thought, well, I'm not going to make myself uncomfortable. I looked at the board, it said the next one was sort of 2 to 3 minutes away, so I waited for that. When I got on the train, I started to punch in a text message to send to the lad that I was working with to let him know I was late. I'm totally crap at text messaging. I mean, the predictive test makes no sense to me whatsoever, so singly trying to punch in each letter took a lot longer than for most people it would, and I missed my stop.
Unknown to Danny, he was just 3 feet from suicide bomber Mohammed Sadiq Khan.
This guy didn't have "I'm a suicide bomber" tattooed on him. He got on a train, he was a young guy, dressed in casual clothes, carrying a rucksack, like millions of other people do, day in, day out, travelling around London. And I looked round and kind of made eye contact with him as he looked up. And it's terrifying to think that when I've looked at him, I could have been the last thing he saw, and there could have been something about me that triggered it.
Seconds after the train left Edgware Road station, Khan placed his hand in his rucksack. The train only made it a few metres into the tunnel.
Did you know the average French woman is naked 34% of the time?
I never should have brought you.
Danny Biddle has had to come to terms with his disability.
And I can't live my life as that person anymore through no fault of my own. I just can't do it. What's left is the person that I've had to fight and struggle to rebuild ever since that bomb went off. I'm a long way in front of where a lot of people thought I would be 22 months after the bombings, that's for sure.
He used to be a project manager in construction, but it's a job he can no longer do. Instead, he's retrained and combined his existing skills with his recent experiences as a disabled man. This has opened up a new career as an accessibility specialist.
It was a real big goal of mine while I was in hospital to get back to work, to give me the sort of sense of independence and give me a bit of my pride and dignity back, because you do kind of lose all of that in hospital when you're in there for so long. Since the bombing, I could sort of exuberate a self-confidence, because people tend to sort of look past you when you're in a wheelchair. If you're out in a group of people, they'll talk to the people around you and not you because you're in a chair. They sort of look at me and say, "Oh, how's he doing?" And I can't think, well, I'm sitting there. I've lost my legs, not my tongue. Everything still functions as it should. I just don't have legs anymore.
Danny was given £118,000 in compensation for his injuries. But his decision to go back to work meant a cut in his disability living allowance.
The initial problem that you're going to have as a disabled person trying to use the toilet is that handrail really doesn't serve any purpose. I went back to work because I wanted to, because work is a big part of my life and it's important to me. It shouldn't have been a necessity for me to do it. But the compensation doesn't go far enough for the next, hopefully, 50, 60 years of my life. I mean, probably 10 years' time, it would have all gone. So I need to work. When I'm in excruciating pain, or I haven't slept for 2 days, I've still got to drag my sorry ass out of bed and go to work, because the government don't compensate enough for an act of terrorism.
Although he tries to avoid it, Danny has to drive through London for work.
Coming through tunnels and underpasses, sort of like this, the Limehouse Link, it makes me go cold. My mind just races, and the thoughts of where I was lying and where I was trapped, and the fear of not being able to move or get out, they start to creep up inside again.
The most disturbing flashbacks take him back into the tube tunnel and the immediate moments after he was blown out of the carriage.
I've never heard screaming like I heard that day. You're listening to people who are terrified. I listen to people screaming, and when the screaming stops, it's because they've died. It's not because they've got out and walked away from it. I listen to people die. I watch people die. It's absolutely fucking terrifying. I wanted to try and move, but I just did a big lump of metal, which I later found out was a carriage door on top of me. I put my hands under the door to try and use leverage to try and push the door off. As I put my hand down by my left side, it was Anyway, I described it, I put my hand in a bucket of paper mache, there was just nothing there. I put my hand down and I could feel the rocks and just goo, for want of a better term, which I later found out I'd actually put my hand inside my leg. My left leg had been blown clean off, so it was just blood pouring out of it and just nothing there. At that point, I started to panic really badly. Started screaming for help. My face was stinging, my face got quite badly burnt as well. So I've reached up to touch my face because my face was wet and stinging. And as I did, I felt my forehead and the texture didn't feel right. So as I've moved my hand back, I couldn't then lift my hand off my forehead. And what I'd done, where the front of my head had been split open, I put my hand on my skull and pushed back, and I now had my hand under my scalp. So as I did that, it was my fingers hitting the skin that wouldn't allow me to pull my hand out. So at that point, I started to scream quite loudly. Started shouting for help. I needed somebody to find me. It wasn't at that point about being rescued, it was about somebody finding me and knowing who I was, that I was actually somebody that got a family, and I needed those people to know that I was thinking of them.
Danny's screams cut through the chaos. They reached passenger Adrian Hiley, who was still on the train.
There were screams of fear and screams of pain. I think he was just scared of the environment where he was.
Hey, I can hear you, I can hear you.
All of a sudden, I had a voice shout back, I can hear you, what's your name?
I can help you, what's your name?
He said, my name's Adrian. He said, where are you?
I'm going to carry on talking to you, I need to hear your voice.
I tried to find out if he could stand up, if he could walk, if he could move at all. He told me he couldn't. He was pinned under a piece of metal.
Adrian had combat experience from Kosovo, where he served as an army medic. He was better placed than anyone on the train to deal with bomb injuries.